Hello, this is Toad. Welcome to Star Space, and that's Scully.
Hi, I'm Scully.
So today we're going to try and improvise one, which we don't ever do that. We always write a script and then read it into a decent microphone so that, that people have quality audio to listen to while they watch the video. But today we're just gonna wing it and turn the camera on and see what happens. Because the production on this show has gotten just outrageous. It's ridiculous. We don't even have an audience, so there's no reason to do all the super fancy crap that we do. So here it is. Alright, well, today's video is this challenge from our friend Andy over at UK Kraut Gaming. I think it was like a walk in the woods, but we're floating in space, so we're gonna skip that part. You talk some, Scully.
Okay, well, so it's handheld game devices, top 5 sort of thing. I forget the exact details, but I figured, well, we could do that. So for a while, I got really addicted to cheap handhelds. I lived in a different United state at the time, and that one allowed for I guess I've already broken the wall. So yeah, we're space aliens floating in space, yet I lived in a United state. What is going on? Well, anyway, so yeah, broken wall. Let's continue. So in that state, you could order cheap crap from AliExpress. And so it was before you could get the same cheap crap anywhere else. So I got kind of addicted to doing that. You put in a hard week's work and you get home on the weekend and you get a little treat for yourself. And it was really cheap. It's like some of these things were $5, $10. Some of them were a little more, the nicer ones. So once a week or so, I'd order a couple of things, and then I'd forget about it, and 8 months later they would show up in the mail because, they were actually on a boat. But then we moved from that state to another state, and the current state we're in, you can't order, they won't ship to this state because this state wants a piece of the action and they won't pay them. So, yes, they're evil, but they're evil too. Anyway, everyone's evil. So I accumulated a bunch of these things for a while, and some of them still work, some of them don't. But I've held on to most of them, and
okay, well, that was yeah. Well, let's pretend that we have this alternate reality where we're this human on Earth, and we'll call him Henry, I guess.
Henry? That's a stupid Earth name.
No, well, yes, but aren't they all?
You made it
up. Well, anyway, so let's pretend that we're Henry of Earth for a moment, and so lately Henry actually has been busting out one of his handhelds because he's got this wife who, her job is at this fancy university where people think they're smart but they're really not, and so they want a lot of money for that. Well, so since this virus kind of took hold, the university has been pretty much a ghost town, and his wife is able to do her job from home, and most of the aspects of that are really nice, although the communication technology has had to catch up, and there's a lot of what do they call them? The bombers that interrupt the meetings, the whatever those meetings are called. I don't know anything about communications. I wish I didn't have to have a cell phone. Anyway, so not all of it is peachy keen, but a lot of it has been really nice. But she has to go to her office occasionally for this and that, for this reason or that reason, usually to help out some spoiled professor. But so when she went one time, they take precautions, everybody wears masks, nobody's around anyway, the buildings are empty, she's got keys to the building, and there's a friggin' homeless guy in the building, my brain locked me out, blanked. Okay, so homeless people, whatever. It's tragic and it's a problem, etc. That the society that Henry lives in does not handle well at all. But a lot of them they're a huge mess. Mentally, and they make a huge mess physically because it's like this guy was living in one of the offices, and she had to go in there for one of these stupid teachers. He'd been in there for like over a month. The place was destroyed. So their security. They have a police force for this university. Their own cops. None of them are doing their job. They have a huge team of maintenance that cleans this building. None of them are doing their job. They'd have discovered him in days if they were doing their job. So, if you want to, just sit on the street and stick a needle in your arm, go ahead. I don't care. But the problem is, a lot of these junkies, and you'd think, well, it's heroin, so they're going to be chill. No, they get very aggressive. Anyway, despite all that, there's also mental illness concerns, and it's dangerous, especially for my wife. So, even though I'm not supposed to go with her, no one else is doing their job, and so I go with her to make sure that she's safe when she has to go to the office. I'm not supposed to. We're breaking the rules. But I don't want anything to happen to her. No one else is doing anything to help her. No one else is doing the job they're supposed to do. So I go. And that's that. And when I do, I take a handheld with me. And lately, it's been this one. Finally. Number 1. I still have the box. This is the Revo K101. I've done a video about it already. It's on here somewhere. This channel. I don't know. It's a pretty decent video and it's still up. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a hardware clone. It does have emulators in it as well, but it will natively, or whatever, play Game Boy Advance cartridges just by plugging them in. And it uses the actual Game Boy Advance hardware from the micro, I believe. It will also play games from this cart that comes with it, with the micro SD card, Game Boy Advance, obviously, Game Boy and Game Boy Color, perfectly. I've not encountered any problems yet. And what it does for that is it uses the emulator that they used on the Super Nintendo or whatever it was, where you could plug the Game Boy cartridges into that and play them. So you can fiddle with it. You can change the colors. You can change the background image. You know, the what do they call it when it's on the sides in the black space, or you can remove it and it's black space. And it'll play NES as well, but I haven't loaded up NES on it because I have so many methods of playing NES that I just haven't bothered. And allegedly it'll play a couple of others. I can't remember. Game Gear possibly. But those are allegedly spotty. Like some games work perfectly and others don't. So I haven't bothered because it's got plenty of games on it. And you know, it'll save and it'll load and it'll just do all the fancy. It's a computer. But it's also a hardware clone. It's nice. I get nervous about taking it out. I don't want anything to happen to it. But, you know, when I'm sitting there in her office for an hour, being a guard, and she's working, there's nothing to do but sit there with a handheld. So that's what I do. And it's not so bad at all, and she's safe and everybody's okay that way. And hopefully her boss won't catch us. But you know, if we get caught doing this, then we'll face the consequences. Morally, I think we're doing the right thing. Okay, moving on. Or they are. Henry is. Okay, Scully, you do one.
Okay, nice rant. Alright, this is the GB Boy Color, and color is spelled correctly. It's the European spelling, the English spelling. They invented the language, so, you know, I don't see why Americans change it as often as they do. Although I do think the entire language could be remade so that it was not so elitist, personally. For example, you've got A, you've got B, you've got C. You don't need C. You have K that makes that C sound, and you have S that makes the other C sound. So get rid of C. It's inefficient. Okay, that's just the first change I would make. But, you know, color with an extra letter, well, you're kind of cheating at Scrabble, aren't you? Anyway, so the GB Boy Color, it's amazing. I highly recommend getting one. I have enjoyed mine for a long time, and the screen broke and it no longer functions. I popped batteries in it just to show you. I don't know why. Oh. I guess I left batteries on. I don't know. Oh, there it went. Anyway, it's a real shame. It had a backlit screen. And this is another hardware clone. If you don't know about the GB Boy Color, it's easy to get the information about them. They're kind of old news, and, you know, you don't really hear about them anymore. And I don't know why. They're amazing. They are a little more expensive. This one was from AliExpress, and I think now they're up to like $35, which for AliExpress is not cheap. They're worth it. Even though this one broke, I got my money's worth out of it. I still have it because I'm thinking about repairing it. It has a specialty screw right here that you need a specialty tool to remove. after that I might give it a shot. It's got a built-in game list. Some of them do, some of them don't. They put an extra chip on some of them, and it contains ROMs, and so they repeat the list 3 times, which is cheesy to artificially pump the list, but and a few of the games are in Chinese, so you can't play them really because like one's an RPG that's in Chinese. But you have, I don't know, at least 50 playable Game Boy games, and it's a hardware clone, so it accepts Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges. It's a Game Boy Color. It's got a backlit screen. Some people complain about the screen because the aspect ratio is perfect, but the screen is the wrong shape. It's like a typical 4x3 screen opposed to the square Game Boy Color screen. So yes, the games look slightly different. I'm not an expert, but I've never noticed the difference personally. I can certainly live with it. The buttons are great, everything works fine. So I highly recommend this, even though mine broke, so keep that in mind. I used to take this on airplanes with a couple of cartridges, and it was wonderful. I had a little case for it, which has moved on because it stopped working. If I could order from AliExpress, I already would have ordered a replacement for it. This state, or Henry's state, won't allow it. If it did, I would collect all of them. Well, maybe. I mean, I love the clear green. It's obviously my favorite one. There's a clear blue that's also gorgeous. There's a clear purple that kind of imitates the atomic purple. I'm not nuts about that one. But if you're gonna collect them all, you gotta get it. I don't know. At $35 a pop, it's kind of an expensive thing to collect for me. There's a solid yellow one that I'd be very interested in, and there may or may not be a solid blue one now as well. But these have really kind of lost their popularity. People have moved on from this nostalgia of these. So I would grab one now if I were you. I really would. I highly recommend them. The buttons are great, as I said. Everything. It's the cheapest way to get a modern Game Boy Color, and I enjoyed the hell out of it while it lasted, and I got my money's worth. Okay, Toad, over to you.
Okay, well, speaking of money, if you're on a budget, since Scully and I have collected not every, but quite a few of the cheapest, crappiest pieces of bad game tech that exist, there are 2 for the budget-minded that we can recommend. One of them is for the Nintendo lover, and this little 8-bit guy right here has 500 built-in games and a backlit screen, and the controls are good. What you want to look for, these are all over the place right now, what you want to look for is this curve in the side right there. That's what you want, and the red color is the one we own, and it works perfectly. You're going to spend a little bit more for this one. It's got 500 built-in games. They all look great. This one, I guess maybe you can get the cheaper option without it, but this one came with a second player controller. Now, my hope was that it would replace the controls, and I could sit near it and play with the controller and just look at the little screen like a tiny TV, and I thought that'll be a lot of fun. Well, it doesn't work that way. This is player 2. It does work perfectly, however. You plug it in to the same plug that you would charge this thing, and two people can play at once. When you're playing Contra, for example, you got two little guys running around shooting and stuff. It's a lot of fun. This one, the audio video out, unfortunately, doesn't work properly. That is so typical of these. I honestly don't think that they QA that at all. It's not part of their process. When you buy a cheap handheld from China, do not buy it to plug into the TV and play. Just don't. Because half the time or more, that particular function is not going to work. But anyway, yeah, this is a great little family clone. And this I can recommend this one. Now, I'll set that there. Now, for Sega fans, there's also a cheapie out there. This one's even cheaper. This one's about 25 bucks if you get the second controller or not. This one is even cheaper. It's about 15. And if you like Sega, this has got a ton. It's a Sega Genesis / Mega Drive collection. That's all it is. It's got a bunch of Sega Genesis / Mega Drive games on it. It comes with two fake cartridges. What they do is you pop them in, and they hit a pin inside that unlocks another menu. So you've got 3 menus of games in this device. And even though the cartridges are fake, it's kind of fun. I like, the nostalgia of the cartridges. And they do have a function. It's just that they do not actually contain games. The games are all housed internally. It's about 15 bucks. You can't go wrong, really. I mean, yes, it's cheap plastic, but brand new. These are really nice. This one still runs just fine. It's got a Game Boy Advance battery in it. It's compatible with your Game Boy Advance. You can swap the batteries back and forth, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I do. I recommend this one. It's crazy. It looks like a Sony, and it's got Sega games inside it. The screen is kind of small, but very nice. I haven't had any squinting problems or anything like that. So yeah, these are good, cheap fun. Tons of games. This one's got 500 games on it. That's plenty. It's not every game, but come on, And this one has, in total with all 3 cartridges, it's over 200 games. So those 2 I recommend. Scully, over to you.
Okay, wow. This is long. Anyway, so this one was kind of fun. It's also a Famicom clone, but it's got a built-in menu with very crappy games. So it's got turbo buttons. I like the button layout. It's very comfortable. It's obviously made to look like Famicom. It's the golden red. It looks nice, but this is why it's cool. Hang on one sec. This one takes NES cartridges, and yeah, it's got a 72-pin cartridge port with a dust flap, and this is just ridiculous. Look at that. This is a handheld, so what it was great for when I was out and about in another state, you'd go into the little retro game shops, which have popped up everywhere, and you could test all the games. You could just take the cartridge off the shelf, pop it in your little handheld, and try the game to see if you wanted to buy the game. So I'd go in there with this thing, and it was a crazy conversation starter as well, but I don't like talking to people strangers, people I don't know, public. I'm not into communication with humans, especially Americans. I don't know if you've met any, but they're pretty awful. Anyway, so that was not the point for me, but just to get some of the looks and stuff was kind of fun sometimes to hear. What is that? You know, it's ridiculous. It's really silly. But yeah, it was a lot of fun until it stopped working. So there you have it. It's got a death grip on these cartridges too. Whew. Yeah, it stopped functioning. But it was fun for a while. I got my money's worth. I don't think I'm gonna look into fixing that one, and I might get rid of it. What's crazy is you can still play the crappy built-in game list on it. So it has some purpose, but those games are terrible. So yeah, I guess that's 5. Over to you, Toad.
Alright, well, it is technically 5. I've got a little honorable mention to show off, but mostly I just wanted to show Andy my Nerf, aftermarket Nerf case for my Nintendo DS here. Yeah, it's got a DS inside. It's Nerf, so even though I think a DS is a decent portable choice just because the games are phenomenal, but this one is like for falling asleep in bed, and when you drop it, it's in a Nerf case. So you like playing a game and you fall asleep and it falls on the floor. It's not a big deal. It's black DS. It's got the Game Boy cartridge slot protector from the very first handheld I ever personally had. It was a gift from my wife. It was her old DS from Japan. She used to live in Japan, and I still have the protector. I've got the rest of it around too, but it's broken. It's kind of a parts machine. I might do a project with it, and it's got a white oh, there it is, a white pencil thing, whatever they're called, stylus. It just kind of happens to have that, but I like it because you can see it and grab it easier, especially when you're playing it in the dark in the bedroom. And also it's got a magic cartridge, so I can put any DS game I want on there, or all of them if I want. So yeah, but oh, and it came with different. Like this top is obviously will also, you can put a DSi in there because it's got the spots for the cameras and whatnot that this one doesn't have, and it had a different bottom part for the DSi. This one has a spot carved out for the Game Boy Advance cartridge, which, since it has a little bit of lip overlap, the Game Boy Advance cartridges are a little more comfortable in it, although, you know, that's not a deal breaker for me, but they do kind of stick out the bottom of these things. I still think it's worth it, but anyway, so yeah, DS, not a bad choice. How about you, Scully? Do you got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I got a ton of honorable mentions, but this is a 29+ minute video that no one's gonna watch all this. We should probably just carve it up and see what we actually.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and click the buttons, please, and have a great day. Oh, and you know, if you want to do the challenge, that's cool. I'm not gonna pass it to anybody because I don't know. I don't really have a community, and that's okay. I'm not really into that, but I do want to thank Andy at UK Kraut Gaming, because he's awesome and stuff. And so that is the conclusion of this video, and have a good day.